Alrighty, 10:02 on the fan. It is the Tiki and Tierney show. Oh, man, listen, dude. I don't know what to tell you, Met fans. We're going to try to tell you stuff. But in terms of trying to tell you something that will make you feel better, we won't even waste your time, Tiki. We won't even waste your time.
Come in this morning and you just hate the Mets. You hate them.
Disgusting the way they played.
Not because they lost, but because they lost, we now have to sit back and wait for two emotional, unbelievable wins by the Jets and the Giants. We got to wait for that.
Yes. Now, you're right. Not only did Met fans, Met fans had their souls snatched by the Mets. Generally, Met fans are Jet fans. They're not even going to hear about the Jets for a little bit because the Mets were so miserable.
That's right.
This weekend. Listen, Teague. Now, I thought about this a lot, and I know it's on the surface it's going to seem to make no sense, but I'm going to lay something out for you right now. All right, I think the way this season went and the way this season finished, based on the 99% of euphoric, commitment to the season and feel and all the great stories and the trumpets and they're going to win 110. The way this season ended for the New York Mets with a whimper, with one hit in your own backyard, all you had to do against the Braves was win one. Your Aces couldn't get it done. All you had to do this weekend was win two, and you couldn't get it done. When you add all of it up, and you add in the fact that the New York Mets, by average age, had the oldest roster in baseball, all right? That they have a ton of free agents. Diaz, DeGrom when he opts out, Nimmo, Walker, Bassett. And by the way, Chris Bassett, stop telling us how tough it is to pitch here. I think the guy psyched himself out. Now, there were other, and we'll get to the stuff with Musgrove, and we'll get to the stuff with all the timeouts, with the Padres interrupting his flow. I get it. But that is not the first time that he told us how tough it is to pitch here. We understand that. I almost think the guy psyched himself out. But when you look at everything that transpired this season, it is the most disappointing season in my lifetime on the New York sports scene. And before you call, and before you tweet, and before you tell me, what about the Yankees back in 2004 when you lost to the Red Sox? Here's why it's different. Number one, the Yankees had a small treasure chest of championships. Not that you ever want to lose to the Red Sox. Trust me, I was gutted. I'm not trying to front. That was brutal. But you at least won the series prior. You beat the Twins in 4 games. Yeah, I know you beat the Red Sox 19-8 on Saturday night, and you're up 3 games to none. You flushed down a 3-0 lead. The Red Sox win the first World Series. The Bambino curse is done. But the Yankee fans at least were given great pleasure for a long time. I know Met fans don't want my pity, and this is not pity. But you guys deserved better. You needed your general manager to get some guys that could actually hit like the team that just beat you and also the team down in Atlanta, and he didn't do it. And you needed your Aces to be better, and you know what? Next year, I'm not saying Cohen's not spending money. Hell, he might give Judge $600 million now. But you know what? This Mets team that you loved, and I don't blame you, this iteration that you loved, this team will never look the same again. Totally different roster. Could be better. Totally different feel. Could be worse. This was their season to do something.
And something I didn't think I would ever think about saying regarding this Mets team is that Buck Showalter looked like he didn't have as concrete of a plan as we thought he would have. This is why you hire Buck Showalter. You hire him to obviously manage the egos of the team. There's a bunch of them on the squad, obviously, because of Scherzer and DeGrom and Francisco Lindor. Except like there's big egos on this team. Not a ton, but there's enough of them where you have to manage it the right way. But also, when you get in game, you thought, man, if anybody's going to figure it out, it's Buck. Buck's going to be able to have the pulse of this team and know what it takes to get them jazzed or engaged in a different way. To come away last night with one hit in a elimination game, obviously it was elimination for the Padres too, but an elimination game, and you have one hit. He tried with the whole Musgrove thing, and we'll get to that at some point, but he tried. He couldn't push the right buttons to get this team engaged or excited or
I wouldn't use those words.
Or dialed in or whatever it is. But one hit. And
I mean, it's patently pathetic. One hit. Now, they did hit a few balls hard at guys. I get that.
It doesn't matter.
One hit.
It doesn't matter, man.
One hit.
This is a team that won 101 games, and all we did all season was laud them on how they were able to create runs, create base runners, create stress on the other team. This game was never in doubt for the Padres.
It wasn't. From jump.
From jump. It was never in doubt for the Padres. And as much as you can put that on the players, you can't absolve the skip as well. And then you get to the whole pitching stuff, and you go back to game 2, you throw Diaz out there in 7, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, Ottavino's going to pitch the 8th and the 9th, and you get the bases loaded. It's like, what the hell is going on?
I didn't have an issue with that Saturday night. You got to win the game. I didn't have an issue in real time. I'm watching the game with a Met fan. I'm okay with that. And I brought it up on the show Friday. I asked you guys.
But it worked out.
Would you give him the ball in the 7th inning?
It worked out.
And I said, yeah.
It worked out, but you can't tell me that Mets fans in the 9th inning were not sitting there saying, God, why did Edwin Diaz pitch in the 7th?
Oh, no, those are two different conversations. You're right. No, I'm not. Yeah, I hear you.
And then he comes out
perfect in terms of emotion.
Out in the 4th yesterday. Like, what the hell is going on here?
Listen,
I mean, the 5th inning.
I mean, Bassett just didn't have it. They kept calling timeout. He's grunting. I get it. Grunting and groaning to throw 93 miles per hour. Padres are better. You know, I really think the Padres are better. Where's the Mets Juan Soto? And I know he hasn't been good with San Diego, but where's the Mets Juan Soto? Where's the Mets Manny Machado? They don't have those guys. They don't have them. The point about Buck, and I'm going to disagree a little bit with you here, Teak. I fundamentally, you're not wrong. There was a lot of searching and reaching, some of the, really for the last 3 weeks or so with Buck. But you know why? And I'm not saying that you were implying this. It's not a lack of aptitude or acumen or instinct on his part. I just think it was a lack of options. The Mets don't have as many good players as their fans thought they did. And that's not me taking a shot. I've been saying it all year. That's the reality of the roster. Just look at the Braves. Look at the thoroughbreds they trot out there. Young guys. By the way, Strider just got $75 million. They're doing everything the Mets should be doing. And maybe they will with Alvarez and Beatty, so I'm going to be fair. And the other guys coming up. But it was an amazing story, but it just felt like it had an expiration to it because it didn't seem fully real, fully believable. But that doesn't mean anything in terms of the emotional roller coaster they put you on again. I got news for you. I mean, I don't know when this team's going to win a World Series. I mean, we sat around here, the 1940 chance for the Rangers. Like, I mean, maybe they're the Rangers, and eventually the Rangers cut through, But this Mets team, this franchise, I'll tell you, there is nothing like, at least with football, all right? And Lord knows we've had 10 years of the Jets not this year. We'll get to them later. What a win. The Jets were supposed to win that game. What a win for the Giants. Unbelievable. Dayball pumped up, leaving the field. We'll get to it all.
They're the best coach team in the NFL.
I agree.
Period.
I totally agree. But the thing about football, like when you are dealt bad cards as a fan of the Jets and the Giants, you can at least immerse yourself with fantasy, put a couple of bucks on this game, the Sunday night games usually, the primetime games, stars, superstars. You could get lost in the rest of the league a little to dilute the pain based on the fact that our teams stink. But with baseball is an everyday investment. If you're a Yankee fan and a Met fan, you don't check out. You watch every game on SNY. You watch every game on Yes. You go probably 15, 18 for a lot of people, 20, sometimes more times a year. And it is a labor of love. Being a baseball fan is laborious. It ain't quick, and it's not a short season. And they take you like unlike any other team I've seen. Like, really, the Knicks don't even really threaten to be great. The Mets have these little flashes across the sky where you're like, this is finally our year. And I sincerely feel for you. That sucks. That is the worst part of being a fan. You give everything you have, and it gets sucked right out from underneath your feet. And they just do it to you all the time, and you deserve better.
Yeah.
You deserve better.
It's hard to argue with that. And there's no emotion to calm what's happening in Met fans' minds right now, because I'm not. You can't say that they were supposed to beat the Padres because we talked about this leading into this series. How the Padres had this massive run differential against the New York Mets. That Yu Darvish, who started Game 1 and had started the previous Game 1s of their series, had been dominant. They gave up 4 hits and 2 starts and no runs, or maybe even 1 run. So you knew that this was going to be a challenge. You knew that they had the horses in order to be better than the Mets. So the Mets weren't supposed to win, but the Mets are supposed to give more of an effort than 1 hit and no runs in a closeout game. Last game of their season, that's what they're going to remember for the next 4 months until they get the pitchers and catchers and, hey, let's run this thing back and try to get this thing going again.
It's going to be a very different team, Tiki.
It's just going to be.
And it has to be.
It's a miserable way to end the season. It's one thing to end the season, we got beat 7-6 because the Padres just had it when they needed it. It was a no-show. Complete no-show by the guys you needed to count on in this series.
877-337-6666. Tiki and Tierney on the Fan inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Excuse me. Our friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. One little thing that obviously got a reaction, and then one big thing that obviously got a lot of reaction. All right. First of all, 10 seconds on Mr. and Mrs. Met banging the trumpets. Now, Diaz, that's his music. Like you're walking up. If the Yankees and the Mets are losing 13-2 and you have walk-up music, the walk-up music is still played. I have no issue with that. All right, none. But it was a little too jovial, a little too cute. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Put them on ice.
I think
let them come in the game.
They're trying
quietly.
You do stuff like that to create a reaction from the crowd, right?
I think the music creates the reaction by itself.
I agree.
I don't think you need the mascots.
But at that point, why?
I hear you. Again, I'm not going to crush him for it. I had to react to it because everybody did.
But what reaction do you think?
That would have driven me nuts if I'm a diehard Mets fan. I would be like, get them off the field. That's the last thing I want to say.
That's exactly right.
All right, that's number one. We're not going to belabor that. Number 2, and we'll do this coming up next here. Buck's decision to go out and which was the weirdest thing. I mean, the umpires feeling him up. Not as much as the Giant was getting felt up on the sideline. What the hell's going on here? What's going on in the tent
sometimes
for the Giants?
You need a little rub down.
I got you. Buck got equally crushed and equally applauded and crushed by Gary Cohen on SNY. We're going to play it for you. And listen, this is a day you vent, you rant, you rave, you talk. We'll get to the football later. Joe Beningo at 11:40, as usual, Monday spot here on the Fan. And Yankee playoff tickets. Oh, Garrett Cole. Now the pressure very quickly shifts to you, but we'll do that. We'll do that more tomorrow. We'll give you Yankee tickets a chance to win them coming up in the 1 o'clock hour.